All right, friendly reminder, tomorrow you do have a test, 25 questions on multiple choice. Your focus is due. Hopefully you planned ahead correctly and got all of your stuff done before Halloween, because you and I both know no one is in the mood to do anything today. So hopefully you're not staying up all night tonight getting your homework done. Is that true? Are we all done? Did you finish it? Smart. All right, here we go on your whiteboard. Please tell me, what is the name of the first country to industrialize? Who is my first country to industrialize? Aren't you one seat back?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm here for, man. Ryan. Bryn. Who is the second country to industrialize? Good. Who we got? Luke. U.S. Who is the third country to industrialize? No. Not fully. The U.S. is the first one to be fully. They're the first ones to start the process, but to be fully industrialized. It's what, Luke? Germany. And who was my last country to fully industrialize? Nina? France. On your whiteboard, give me 2 reasons why France was so slow to industrialize, even though they started early. Russia's the longest one to industrialize, but why is France taking so long? Well, killings and death would be, the same thing, right? But use a little bit more specific than, like, vague language. Yes, maybe some historical evidence here. What we got, Brindley? Yes, but that's not what you wrote. So on the AP exam, even though you know the answer, and if you wrote that, you get nothing. Here we go, on your whiteboard. Please tell me, what is the name of the dude who industrialized Germany? There's only 2 Germans you need to know, and he's the other one. Who is it? Daniel? Otto von Bismarck. Who's responsible for industrializing France? Who is it, DK? Napoleon. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is... On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of... give me 2 countries that are state-sponsored industrialization. Good. What do we got, Rex? Russia and Japan. What is the opposite of state-sponsored industrialization called? What do we got, Ahmed? Privatization. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what becomes the single most important colony of the British? It is where they're going to grow the cotton they need, make the textiles, get their natural resources. What is it, Abby? India. Abby, what's your favorite candy?
Reese's.
Oh, good choice. Did you get a bunch yesterday?
For my brother, yeah.
For your brother?
For my brother.
Oh, you stole them from their brother? He did the work and you stole them? Good plan.
I got full.
Very effective. Nice. Okay. Good for you, girl.
He's an old peanut, so.
Oh, you're just doing a public service at this point. Oh, I love when a plan comes together, girl. Henry had his first peanut butter cup yesterday. Unfortunately, he likes them. It's very disappointing. Even though he loves peanut butter, and I knew he did, but my husband and I were fingers crossed he was going to hate them. He did not. Don't worry, we stole a bunch when he went to bed. So we're fine. Oh my God. We're not trying to send him to, like, trauma therapy. No, but it would be better if you didn't like them. So good for you, Abby. The system works. All right. Am I describing first? Did we do revolutions yesterday? Where did we leave off, Joseph? You have your notes out. We got to second. Okay, am I saying first or second revolution? Am I describing first or second? Railroads. Why wouldn't you just write one? Are you okay, DK? What? DK, first or second? First. What am I describing? First or second? Steam engines. Good. Nina? First. Chemicals. Good. Caleb? 2. Radio. Good. Brinley. 2. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so did we talk about coal at all? No, we just got to revolutions. Perfect. Let's pick it up at coal, please. Okay, coal is going to become the #1 item during the first industrial revolution. It is going to become, it's going to replace what fuel source? Before coal, what was being used?
Wood.
Aubrey. Gold? You think gas? No, gas is pretty hard to harness, right? You have to think about it. I mean, can you go right now and capture gas for me? I'm not smart enough to do it either, so I have no idea. So it can't be gas. Ryan? As a fuel source? That's steam. That's steam-powered engines?
Like powering the mill.
Ah, okay. Yeah, but that's like only in certain places. What do you got, Rex? Wood. Wood was the most common. You go up to a tree, you cut it down, you got wood. Okay, now we're going to transition to coal. Where is coal found, Brandon? It is found in England, but where in England is it? It's, yeah, it's in the ground. Easy to get or hard to get? Do you want to be a coal miner? Yeah, no, that's a no-go for me, boss. Okay, coal mining. Coal comes from coal mines, deep in the ground. You have to dig about 1 mile into the ground. Once you get to 1 mile, then you get to the coal. You don't have to write all this stuff down, but you just need to write down it's very hard to mine. Okay, you should listen to this because this is like the wild stuff. So you have to dig about 1 mile down into the ground, and then you got to send men down there. And then the men are going to take their little pickaxes and start chipping into the coal. When they chip the coal, gas is released because it's trapped inside the coal. Well, gases are flammable and toxic. So, with enough electricity and static electricity, what happens on a pretty regular basis? Explosions, because there's gas, and then you have all the flecks in the air from the coal, which are incinerator, which is why we go get coal. So lots of explosions, things crumble, huge catastrophes, all the thing, super dangerous. And remember, you're just cutting it off the wall of your coal mine, and then as you keep cutting into it, you got to keep going further and further away. Is this a profession you would like to pick up?
No.
Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare. Okay, so that's coal mining. It's very dangerous. It is very intensive. You have to go so far underneath. It is very tricky. You need to know that coal was necessary for... Why is coal so important? What's the difference between coal and woods, Joseph?
Well, coal can power steam.
But what is the difference? What's the difference between coal and wood?
I guess it's hotter.
It burns hotter. Write it down. Coal burns really hot. So it pushes more, it boils water faster, which pulls higher steam. Okay. So coal is necessary for steam engines. Steam engines are how the world is going to function in the first industrial revolution. You need to understand, steam engines need 2 things. Rex, what are the 2 things steam engines need?
Coal
Coal and
steam. Water.
Okay. Steam engines need coal because you need to get that really, really hot flame, and they need water. But what type of water? If you use salt water, it's going to oxidize the iron and jam up the machine. The whole thing explodes. So they need what type of water? Fresh water, which means, put a star, to make steam engines work, it has to be by fast-moving fresh water. So where do we find fast-moving fresh water? Rivers in New England. So for the first part of the Industrial Revolution, where's the only place that can have factories? New England. And that's why all the factories and the original start of the Industrial Revolution are in New England, because they need the fast-moving rivers. They need the fast-moving rivers because if they're steaming off all this water, they need to have the water constantly coming in to replace it, or the machine blows up. Not ideal. Okay, so it has to be near fast-moving fresh water. It's only found in New England, which limits how much industrial factories can actually be built, right? Because there's only a certain amount of places. It's a little tricky. What do you got?
Are there any countries right now that aren't industrial? still?
Yes, there's a bunch of them. Most of the continent of Africa is not industrialized. They're dependent on industrialized countries, and they have aspects of industrialization, but they are not fully industrialized, which means completely independent, running their own factories, having their own thing. A lot of countries are not. All right, what do you got, Joseph?
Wait, how is this like an analysis of the star next to it?
Because it's a huge deal, and that's the reason why the North in America becomes incredibly wealthy, while the South does not. It's going to lead to the fact that some countries can industrialize and other countries cannot. So 3 reasons why a country can industrialize. They don't have lack of rivers to do it, those types of things. All right, here we go. So you need to know that coal is also going to be used for steamships. Okay, now they're going to use steel for your steam engines, which is why it can process salt water. Okay, but that's a newer technology. It's industrial too. You need to know that a steamship needs to get access to what while they're sailing around the world? Not water. They're sitting in water, so we solved the water problem. What is the other thing they need access to? Coal. Write it down. So, because we're now using steamships, which are coal powered, we need access to coal, which means we need to get coal refueling stations. Write it down. Every country needs coal refueling stations. Keep in mind, if we're an American warship, do we want to go up to Germany and say, hey, Germany, I need some fuel? Can you hook me up? What is Germany going to say? No. Why would we give you fuel? Right? So, in order to be independent, you have to have refueling stations, aka colonization. Write it down. So another justification for colonization, which is next week's content, by the way, it's going to cause industrialized countries to conquer other countries. Because what do they need? Ports. They need coal ports. They can refill their stuff, and they're not dependent on other countries. It's just like today. Does American warships pull up to Japan and say, hey, can we get some fuel? No, we don't. We pull up to our American base in Japan, and that's where we get our fuel. Okay. Here we go. Your second industrial revolution. Okay. You need to know we have steel. Steel is the new item that becomes a high price item. Steel is the big deal. You need to know that steel has been around for centuries, but it was too expensive to make. Like, for instance, the Japanese have known how to make steel for centuries, and they wear it as like jewelry. And the samurai swords are all made out of steel, and they've had those for centuries. But to make a lot of steel, it's very, very expensive and impossible to do. Okay, until we get the Bessemer process. Okay, the Bessemer process is created by a Scottish guy, Bessemer. Okay, and then another Scottish guy is going to steal the idea and bring it to America. Does anyone know who it is? Who's a Scottish immigrant who sees the plans from Bessemer, steals the plans, brings them to America, and sets up the Bessemer process. He did give the guy credit, but the Bessemer process is actually made one family in America billions of dollars. Does anyone know who it is? Who is it, Rex? No, Rockefeller's gas. He's oil. Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie, Carnegie Hall, Music Hall, New York City. Huge deal. Now, where is he? Write it down. You need to know. America is going to be the capital of steel production. Where does Andrew Carnegie build his steel city? Nope. Oh my God. You're going to be so annoyed. What city has a football team? What is it, Caleb? Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh becomes the steel capital of the world. Guys, there's no animal called Steelers. They're Steelers. They make steel. Huh? Thieves? Well, I have my own thoughts about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hate them. I'm a Patriots fan, so. Oh, nice. And what are you? What kind of fan are you? A Bucks fan? Oh,
No, my brother, like, he
Yeah.
hates the Patriots because they.
everyone hates the Patriots. Not anymore. We suck now, so everyone's fine with us now. Ava,
Wait, so Pittsburgh was the.
steel capital of the world.
And who brought over?
Andrew Carnegie. I don't need you to know that so much, but you should know that because of its American folklore here. What do you got, Caleb? I don't know. Google it. Is it still the steel capital of the world? I don't think so, because America is no longer an industrial hub like we used to. I'm sure it's like India or somewhere else in the world, because we're not making things anymore. It's not like you're going to Pittsburgh and you're like going to the, seeing like union workers anymore. Anyway, okay. So the Bessemer is going to, the reason why it's a big deal is because it mass produces steel production. Write it down. It mass produces steel production. What makes steel different than iron? What makes steel different than iron? Megan?
Something like, it's able to be, isn't it like it was able to be shaped into the components?
It becomes a liquid. You can pour it into. It's stronger. Stronger, yes. What else, Ryan? It doesn't oxidize, which is why we use it in our steamships. Rex?
Well, I was going to say
It doesn't corrode, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Okay, it's faster and it's light. It's lighter and it is more durable. Okay, so what was happening during the first industrial revolution? We were using iron for our train tracks, but we kept engines, train engines, going very slowly because as the wheels come in contact with the railroad, the actual road ties, it heats it up. Obviously, that's a lot of weight, and we have friction with moving. So we had to move them really, really slow because if you heated the iron too much, the iron would split, and we have a derailment. Now, with steel railroad ties, now all of a sudden trains can start going super fast. So now we're getting our speeds. Now we're getting our accessibility. We're also, so you need to know, it's going to improve railroad transportations. And what is the other big thing that steel gives us? It goes, we can now go up. We're doing skyscrapers, people. Skyscrapers. We're building upwards. Okay? For the first time, we are building up. Now, if you build a building with brick, you can only go 4 stories before the brick gets too heavy and collapses. Which is why if you go to like old parts of like Baltimore, New York, Chicago, all of those houses are like 3.5 stories. They're called 3.5 stories because there's 3 stories of like 12 feet spaces, and then the half stories where the servants used to live. They used to put the servants at the top because there was no elevator, so what's the worst floor to get to? The top. That's why they put the servants up there. So with steel, now all of a sudden we can go 15 stories, 20 stories, and like the world's highest building today is what, like 80 stories or something? I don't even know. Don't quote me on that. I have no idea. I could care less. Okay, so steel is allowing our railroads to travel faster, allows cars to get invented, allows airplanes to get invented, and allows skyscrapers, which is a big deal. Okay, oil is the next big thing that we have to know. Now, when oil comes out of the ground, what do we call it? Crude oil. Crude oil is oil straight from the ground, and it has 3 major parts to it. Crude oil has 3 major parts to it. The first part is what we call kerosene. Kerosene, it comes from crude oil. Crude oil is essentially made up of 3 different types. Do we know what makes up crude oil? Yeah, no, I mean like what it is. It's animals. It's animals and dead plants that have been like smushing together and breaking down, and ta-da, we have oil. Okay, so these are all dinosaurs that have liquefied into this black gold called crude. Crude is made up of 3 things. First thing is kerosene. Kerosene is incredibly stable. Victoria, when I say the word stable, what does that mean?
It's like, it doesn't explode.
Yes, it doesn't explode. So if you were going on a camping trip this weekend, you were probably going to use kerosene. And you could walk into any Walmart right now and go to the shelf and pick up a 2-gallon container of kerosene. Okay? It is located inside the store because it's not going to catch fire unless you take a match, open up the top of the container, and light the whole container on fire. You could stand 3 feet away from it with a cigarette if you wanted to. And is it going to catch fire? No. You have to physically light it on fire. That's what we mean by stable. Kerosene is very stable or very reliable. It only catches fire if fire is brought to it. The second thing in crude oil is gasoline. Gasoline is very unstable. So if it's unstable, Brandon, what does that mean? It can explode easily. When you go and get gas, do you walk into a Walmart and pick up gasoline? No, where do you get gas? At a gas station, which is outside in a very well-ventilated area, because the fumes of gasoline can catch fire. So if it's in a small space, it's going to explode. Like, the dumbest thing that you can do is bring a gas container, you know, like for your lawnmower or whatever. You bring it into your house, you're a complete idiot, because static electricity can make it blow. You turn on your gas light in your kitchen and the fuel fumes have gone in from the other room, you can cause your whole house to blow up. That's why gas, all of that stuff is outside, not because it's convenient to put in your car. It's because it's like super dangerous. It was so dangerous back in the day in the 1800s when they had no use for gas because it was too dangerous to deal with. They used to just light it on fire so it would go away. That's how unstable it is. The third thing that comes out of the ground is going to be refined oil. So once you pull out the kerosene, once you pull out of the gasoline, then you get a refined oil. This is used for lubricating machines. This is used for burning in your machines. This is what is preferred for the industrial stuff because it burns hotter than coal. Refined oil burns hotter than coal. Okay, here we go. Oil is going to replace coal because it's easier to get. How do you get oil?
From the ground.
Yeah, you drill. Well, coal's at the ground too, so you're going to have to give me a little bit more of a context. What's the difference between oil drilling and coal mining?
You said it was harder to go because men have to go and dig.
Yeah, how do we get oil then?
Drill.
I mean, it's a pump. It's a pump system. All you have to do is get the receptor, which is in the bottom of it, low enough, and then you can just pull. So essentially, it doesn't take that many men to drill an oil refinery. It doesn't. It takes a lot of men to work it, but the actual drilling and pulling it up, it's a vacuum system. It's a vacuum. They literally vacuum it up to a degree, and they pull it, and then they start putting it in barrels. It's very easy to get, which is why people transition from coal to oil, because it's faster to get, and you can get faster turnover, and it burns hotter. Okay? All right. Electricity. Electricity will eventually replace oil. Has it officially become more popular? No, we're still dealing with oil. Hello? When was the last time you went to the gas station? This week? Last week? Of course. But we can all see that coming in the future, everything will be electric. Okay, some of you. Raise your hand if you have an electric mower. That's pretty cool. McCray has an electric car. Mine's a good old gas powered. Or I was poor when I bought it. I don't know. The McCray's electric car, I have like positive thoughts about it and I have negative thoughts about it. But my Mini Cooper is cute every day. So, all right, communications. You need to know we have Alexander Graham Bell who's doing the telephone, and then you have Marconi who's doing the radio. You need to know communication tools are going to benefit the Europeans more because it allows them to have deeper control over their colonies. Now, the reason why we won the American Revolution is because of the gap, the time gap between America and England. There was a delay in orders. If the British could have called the shots faster, we would have absolutely lost. It was like the perfect sweet spot to declare. If we waited 10 years, we absolutely would have lost the war because they've already heavily started industrializing by 1886, and we would have completely got our butts kicked. But we didn't, and we won. All right. The Continental Railroad exists. All right, Ottoman. I think this stuff's cool. Especially with all the events of the last, like, month. It's really interesting. All right, here we go. The Ottoman Empire. You need to know the Ottomans have been rejecting industrialization. The Ottomans have rejected industrialization. They think it's bad. They are also the most diverse empire in the world. Thank you, Joseph. I couldn't come up with a word. They are the most diverse empire in the world, so they have a ton of nationalism growing in their country. And what is nationalism, Ruby? No, we have a lot of different cultures here, but we're pretty united in our nationalism. Ahmed?
Deep devotion to one's country.
There you go. So much so that they want to all be under their own control. If I am, you know, I don't know. If you are Greek descent, you want a Greek running you. That's like nationalism, deep devotion to one's country and heritage and all that stuff. So it's pulling the Ottomans apart. Write it down. It is pulling the Ottomans apart because they're so diverse. We'll write this down. Okay. So those are all the problems that are consistently happening in the Ottoman Empire. Let's talk about a new guy. His name is Muhammad Ali. And don't you dare make a joke about the boxer. Don't you dare. I can't. I literally can't. Muhammad Ali is going to go against his own Ottoman Empire. He goes against the Ottoman Empire and begins to industrialize Egypt. Okay? He is also embracing westernization. When I say westernization, what do I mean by that, Will? Like what is, you're right, but what does that mean? Do you think he's sitting around saying, damn, Mozart's really good?
No.
When we're talking about westernization, it's talking about rebuilding their military in the Western style, which means they're no longer following the gunpowder empires, this rise of military techniques. Just like everything, you do understand that what you're wearing right now, or maybe not right now, hopefully. Love you. Whatever you're wearing right now, or what you wear when you get dressed up, that style will identify you for the next, like, 40 years. You do know that, right? Like, my generation, skinny jeans. What do I wear every day? Skinny jeans. Even though you people wear baggy pants and you look homeless. I wear my skinny jeans because my age generation was skinny jeans, okay? So, we're now seeing throughout history, there are different fads of warfare, okay? For the longest times, it was the Chinese warfare. Then it's going to shift over to the Persians. And then the Ottomans are going to be the dominant force for a very long time. They're going to influence the rest of the world with their techniques. Now, who is the rising force in the world? The Westerners, the Europeans. So now, what is all the other countries going to start mimicking? The Western. That's what westernization is. So, what Muhammad Ali is going to do is he is going to begin industrializing because he wants to be competing with the Europeans. He wants to be on the same level. That's the new standard. He wants to industrialize. He's going to modernize the Egyptian military in the Western style. Fun fact is, it's actually Americans who help improve their military. After the Civil War, half of the generals from the South went to Egypt to help them improve, which is kind of funny to think of. Can you imagine, like, Colonel Mustard, not Mustard, whatever, one of the generals, like whatever their names are, going and talking in a big old Virginia drawl in Egypt, and everyone in Egypt thinking that's how all Americans sound. Doesn't that sound terrible? Anyway, that's what I think about in my head. Never mind. So, they're going. He is going to improve. They are going to westernize their military. They are going to become a secular nation. Everyone else in the region is going to be a religious-based region. Egypt is going to be the first secular within the region, because secular is what the Europeans are doing. Put a big star, guys. This is a huge deal. He is the first non-Westerner to embrace the European styles. It doesn't work out for him, though, unfortunately. The British are going to conquer Egypt, and the poor guy gets executed, and it makes me sad. But he stands in history as the first one to embrace Western style stuff. Today, in 2023, Egypt is seen very, very positively in the region. Even with all this Israel and Gaza stuff, who is the major power rising in the region? Is it Saudi Arabia or Egypt? It's Egypt. Egypt. Yeah, it's one. They're also one of the wealthiest countries we're going to study in the 1950s. Egypt is going to steal away the Suez Canal away from the British. Now, the Suez Canal is the most valuable piece of land in the world. Now, keep in mind, who stole it from the... How did the British get it? They stole it from the Egyptians. But the Egyptians in the 1950s are going to steal it back, and they have owned it since, which makes sense because it's their land. And they have used it and have built up their really strong economy, and they are flourishing right now. I mean, they're building a whole new capital city. If you haven't seen it online, it's insane. They're rebuilding Cairo in the middle of the desert, and it looks insane. And it looks so cool. You haven't seen the photos of it? Oh my God, guys, get out of your weird internet boxes and find cool stuff. Japan! Japan is next. Okay, you need to know that Japan closes its door in 1600. Japan closes its door in 1600 and opens it in 1853. Okay, you need to know that the Japanese were only trading with the Dutch from 1600 to 1853. The Dutch did not keep them informed. Why would the Dutch not keep them informed? Why, Sloan? Sort of. The Dutch at 1600 were super powerful. In 1853, the Dutch are not very powerful. Would you tell someone who thinks you're super powerful that you're not that powerful, Rex? Absolutely not, man. You wouldn't do that. That'd be silly. So, what's going to happen? You need to understand that when Matthew Perry arrives, write it down. When Matthew Perry arrives, the government of Japan is the Tokugawa, which is right up here on my board. That's how you spell it. When Matthew Perry arrives, the government in Japan is called the Tokugawa. This is feudalism. These are your samurais. These are your shoguns. You remember when we talked about all this stuff? That is what is happening. In 1853, Matthew Perry arrives, and he says, open your doors. And Japan's like, no, we're not opening our doors. And he says, no, you're opening your doors. And they're like, no, we're not opening our doors. So then he shoots a cannon, the biggest cannon, because we're in an industrialized country at this time. Biggest cannon, they've never seen anything like it. We shoot it into a mountain. And we blow up the top of the mountain, and we say, open your doors. And they're like, okay. And we open their doors, and they're like, holy shit, this isn't good. Okay? At that exact moment, they're like, who the hell is America? And, you know, Matthew Perry walks in with his little cowboy boots on and says, howdy, I'm America. And they're like, what the hell is this shit? They didn't actually do that. He was wearing a uniform, but it makes me laugh thinking he's wearing cowboy boots. Anyway, okay, 1853, Matthew Perry opens the doors of Japan. At that point, Japan realizes they totally screwed up. Okay, write it down. Japan realizes they are so behind. So, what they do is they overthrow the Tokugawa. Write it down. They overthrow the Tokugawa and replace it with the Meiji Restoration, which is right here. Right up here in the front. The Meiji Restoration is the new government in Japan. They kick out the Tokugawa because they're like, you screwed us, you made us incredibly weak, all of these things. How could you just close the doors like that? How could you do it? So they kick out the Tokugawa and then they implement the Meiji Restoration. The Meiji Restoration are pro-Western, pro-industrialization, okay, anti-feudalism. You need to know the Meiji Restoration relies on American assistance financially and intellectually, like as in to like teach them how to do it. Not that the Japanese need Americans to tell them how to think, but like how to actually industrialize. Anti-feudalism. So the Americans become incredibly dependent on Japan. Now, why did we want Japan in the first place, Ruby? Why would we need why do we need Japan? Why would he be there in the first place? No, they don't actually. Which is why they're going to start colonizing here next week, too. Joseph. Coaling refueling stations. We wanted to be able to park our ships there and get it to go across to America. So the reason why we're interested is for coal refueling. Because remember, we need these ports all around the world if we're going to be independent. Okay. You need to know that Japan is going to have the fastest industrialization in the world because it's state-sponsored and it's done out of fear. Okay. Put a big star. The people of Japan are not thrilled. Why aren't the people of Japan happy? Why did they close their doors in the first place, Abby? Yes. So they open their doors, and what happens to the culture, Abby? Yeah, it completely falls apart. I mean, they banned samurai, for God's sake. You're not allowed to wear your traditional dress. All of a sudden, all the men in Japan are now wearing European-style suits. So, you need to put a star. The people of Japan are pissed. But the government is doing really, really well. Now, eventually, will the people of Japan come around? Yeah, when they start dominating and making crazy amounts of money and creating the empire, they'll be happier. Because when your country's doing well, people are usually happy. So, but it is important to know. All right. Crushed it. Crushed it. On the boards, here we go.
Happy birthday, Clarence. You're now the Golden Panther.
Do you want to review or do you want to go? All right, let me do a couple boards and we'll let you go. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the dude who is the first non-Westerner to embrace Western ideology and implement them in his country. Even though it's not a happy ending for him, he is going to give his country a huge benefit. Luke? Muhammad Ali, and not the boxer. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the country that is the most diverse, that will reject industrialization and is going to start falling apart because of nationalism. Megan. Ottoman Empire. Can we be gentle with my board, please? On your whiteboard, please tell me what government was in place in China, nope, in Japan, when Commodore Matthew Perry arrived. What's the name of the government? Ahmed. Tokugawa. After Matthew Perry's arrival, the Tokugawa fall and are replaced by who? What government structure? Keep in mind, the Tokugawa has been in power for 1,200 years. Like, it's a hell of a long time. What do you got, Caleb? Meiji Restoration is going to take power. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the... Oh, what is the name that makes steel production incredibly cheap and makes it mass producible? Good. Kaylin. Bessemer process makes steel cheaper and more affordable. Pittsburgh. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is my brain hurts. On your whiteboard, please tell me during the first industrial revolution, what was the preferred heating source? During the first industrial revolution, Maddie. Cool. During the second industrial revolution, what is the preferred heating source? Good. Ryan. Oil. On your whiteboard, please tell me. Europeans are now struggling with the fact that if they are going to have steamships, they need to have what distributed throughout the world, which will lead to imperialism and justification for taking the land. Good. What is it, DK? Coal ports or coal refueling. All right. Help a girl out. Can you look around the room and find boards? You know, the one that's sitting next to you and the markers and those types of things, and help put them away for me.
Okay, so I can't come in tomorrow.
You are totally fine. Whenever you're here, I will be here, okay?
Friday.
Perfect. I look forward to it, and more importantly, your grade will appreciate it.